Turns out this whole Cody Rhodes thing has been a work all along. WWE have been manipulating their fans. Or are wrestling media the ones getting worked? I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
What a start to 2024, eh? About a week and a half ago, we all felt like we knew the direction heading into WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes had won the Royal Rumble, and he was going to face Roman Reigns, while CM Punk would face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. But it then got revealed that Punk got hurt during the Rumble, so some plans had to change. But sure, while that plan over there was changing, Cody was still going to face Roman, right? Well, no. What ended up happening was Cody announced that while he does want to finish the story, he wasn't going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Instead, The Rock came out, lined himself up to be the guy to face Roman Reigns. This led to a huge fan uproar, with the hashtag #WeWantCody trending on Twitter all weekend. The chants for Cody were thunderous during Raw this past Monday, with even chants of "Rocky sucks," which both Seth Rollins and Michael Cole acknowledged on TV. There were some reports that WWE were handing out the "We Want Cody" signs, but fans have taken to Twitter and told Fightful that this was a fan-driven thing. What hasn't been shot down, though, was that WWE manipulated the audio during the main event of Rhodes vs. Shinsuke Nakamura to drown out the boos against The Rock. It's kind of hard to piece together a timeline of events of how, why, and when things were changed, but according to Fightful Select, the report at the Rumble and even following the Rumble was that Cody will face Roman. Hence why Cody won the Rumble, and he was always supposed to win the Rumble. He had a t-shirt already printed backstage with his name on it saying he won the Royal Rumble. Cody versus Roman was even the case leading up to SmackDown. Those involved found out on Friday, the day of SmackDown, that this Cody versus Roman plan was pivoting to Rock versus Roman. However, there is an interesting wrinkle in all of these reports. Fightful reported over the weekend that some believed the plan was going to be changed to Rock versus Roman at the Royal Rumble, as there was new Rock-themed head-of-the-table merchandise prototypes at the Rumble event, which then would have gone on sale at WrestleMania. It was then reported via Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio that this match between The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania had been decided as far back as January 3rd, when The Rock joined the TKO board of directors, which, was well before Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble and CM Punk got injured at the Royal Rumble. So if we're looking at a worldview where WWE knew that they were going to do Rock versus Roman at Mania, then why did Rhodes win the Rumble? Surely that sounds like a massive creative blunder and fumble. Well, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, it's been 100% a work dating back for a while. Meltzer was referring to the crowd reactions on Raw and WWE's acknowledgement of them. He highlights that both Ricochet and Logan Paul were tweeting about hashtag #WeWantCody over the weekend, how WWE focused on the Cody signs, how commentary constantly mentioned that this was a controversial choice, and how they kept saying nothing has been made official yet. One of Pat McAfee's opening lines on Raw was, "The whole world is talking about WWE." Now, all of that seems fairly obvious, right? Like, in the past, WWE have been known to ignore fans. I'm so sorry, Zack Ryder. I promise you we did try our best. But this new version of WWE isn't quite the same stubborn beast. After how much coverage the story got over the weekend, of course WWE were going to acknowledge all of that. How could they not? PW Insider had even reported that WWE were monitoring the replies, retweets, and polls on social media about Rock versus Roman. Because, again, if WWE were planning on doing Roman versus Rock at Mania, why did Cody win the Rumble? Why not have Punk or The Rock win it? I know there are still people clinging to this idea that Cody winning wasn't audible because Punk got hurt, but it's been reported by multiple outlets that's not the case. May I remind you of the t-shirt that was already printed? Well, here's where things get really interesting. On Twitter, Dave Meltzer noted the idea that Paul Levesque didn't know about Rock signing with the company and him wrestling Reigns when he booked the Rumble is clearly not the case. He knew exactly what he was doing. I get it, I see. It's Triple H rebelling against The Rock and the suits in charge of TKO. He did it for the fans. Not so. In a follow-up tweet in response to a fan asking if Triple H did this to mess with The Rock's plan, Meltzer added everyone was on the same page. They did one of the best jobs of manipulation in history and should be congratulated for it. When someone asked if we, the fans, were all getting worked, Meltzer replied, "If you think WWE were screwing Cody, yes. This was all part of the bigger plan." Meltzer's argument that WWE's mindset was to recreate the magic of Bryan Danielson's rise to the main event of WrestleMania 30. Only this time, it would be on purpose. Stop trying to tell me it wasn't the plan all along, Road Dogg! We all know it wasn't the plan! For those of you who weren't watching at the time or have forgotten as it was 10 years ago, I can barely remember what happened 10 days ago, Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan as he was known in WWE, was a guy that the company held down from the main event scene despite fans telling them that they wanted to see him pushed into the main event scene. During the summer of 2013, he was screwed out of the WWE Championship by the heel faction The Authority, but there wasn't a plan to follow up on that. Instead, he was set to be moved into a WrestleMania program with Sheamus to play off their 28-second match at WrestleMania 29. Meanwhile, the returning Batista would main event WrestleMania instead against his former Evolution stablemate, Randy Orton. Batista won the 2014 Rumble, and the crowd booed. Not only did they boo the finish, when they realized that Bryan wasn't in the match at all, they booed the whole Rumble. Poor Rey Mysterio got booed because he was number 30 and wasn't named Daniel Bryan. The fans also chanted for Daniel Bryan during the incredibly boring world title match between Randy Orton and John Cena. The audience were telling WWE they were sick of this same old shit and they wanted someone new, and that new was called Daniel Bryan. Ollie Davis and I recently reviewed that show in full over on our Patreon page, so please do go and check that out. The crowd reaction, coupled with CM Punk walking out on the company the following night, set a change in motion where Triple H, who was originally supposed to face Punk at Mania, moved into a program with Bryan that would pivot him into the main event of WrestleMania 30, which he won. It was collectively called the Yes Movement. Now, look, there are some differences between Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan. While Bryan was very popular in 2013 going into 2014, he was not the #1 merch seller. He was not reaching the same levels as John Cena or CM Punk. He was even below the Ultimate Warrior in early 2014 in terms of merch sales. He also didn't win the Royal Rumble. As we just noted, he wasn't even in the bloody thing. Key of all, Bryan was not the hand-picked guy to be the face of the company. WWE did not want to push Daniel Bryan, but the fans forced their hand and forced Daniel Bryan into the main event. Cody, on the other hand, is the #1 merch seller, did win the Royal Rumble twice, and is clearly the hand-picked guy to be the face of the company. He also never loses, which is something that Bryan did loads. But it is working. At least that's what Dave Meltzer is arguing and why he thinks it should be congratulated. Going by our own metrics, our podcast review of SmackDown where Cody sidestepped for The Rock is one of the most watched reviews we've ever done. I haven't seen this level of messages coming in angry about Cody not getting pushed since, well, Roman beat him at Mania 39. Cody was more over on Monday's Raw than he was 1 week ago. Ticket sales for that episode of Raw rose following SmackDown because fans wanted to go and voice their displeasure over The Rock. This isn't a Lex Luger situation where the blundering booking made him under. This has made Cody the most over and popular act in the company. So there you have it. It was all one big work. And isn't that the magic of being a wrestling fan? To be worked? I know it's nice knowing all the backstage ins and outs. I love all of that. But at the end of the day, we're all marks. And being worked is part of being a mark. But it might not all be that simple. In a new update from Fightful Select, the idea that this was all an elaborate work is not as cut and dry as Mr. Meltzer is claiming. Sean Ross Sapp writes, if this is or was a work, there were numerous parties that had not been clued in on such as of last Friday. He adds, while we can't speak to the grander situation and who planned what specifically, we can speak to Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, the creative team, producers, and those around them. They were not told that an elaborate, multifaceted work was the plan. Fightful reiterate that Cody vs. Roman and Punk vs. Rollins were the plans for WrestleMania at the Rumble. Syres even says this was relayed directly to CM Punk. So if this was a work all along, it would have been a work on them as well. And WCW history will tell you that working the wrestlers never goes well. So if Cody, Punk, Rollins, producers, creative, and their friends didn't know, then who did? Fightful write the decision to pivot from Cody to The Rock went above Triple H and even Nick Khan, going right to the top with Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel. Fightful Select confirmed that plans for Roman vs. Rock do date back to early January, which is why there was that prototype merchandise at the Rumble event. They write a select group of people were informed Royal Rumble weekend that the direction had changed, but add this does not answer the why of why was Cody booked to win the Rumble if the plan was changing. What we do know is the SmackDown announcement of Cody passing up Mania for The Rock led to loud Rocky sucks chants on Monday's Raw, and WrestleVotes tweeted that while WWE were planning on leading into the viral nature of the story, the chants totally threw certain people off, and that part of it was something unexpected. This has been corroborated by Fightful Select's report, who note that WWE weren't necessarily expecting the chance. Someone who did see it coming, however, according to Fightful Select, is Cody Rhodes. They write that Cody expressed to WWE that this would not get the desired reaction they wanted, i.e., fans excited to see Rock versus Roman, but he did the segment anyway. They add that Cody was said to have been in a somber mood after. So that's everything. One side of the wrestling media is claiming this was all one big worky McWork face, and quite a few others saying that it isn't. The truth of the matter will probably lie somewhere in the middle, and it remains to be seen just how much clarity we'll get on this story in the coming weeks, months, and years. What we do know for sure is that the press conference on Thursday is going to be a big one for WWE. Following SmackDown, the reported plan for Mania was Rock vs. Roman and Cody vs. Seth, but Fightful add options are being discussed moving forward following the fan reaction over the weekend. And speaking of plans, I didn't get a chance to talk about any of the other news in wrestling which I had planned to do. Brock Lesnar has been removed from the cover of 2K24's 40 Years of Mania edition after being implicated in the Vince McMahon sex trafficking lawsuit, and there are reports that 2K are working to remove both him and Vince from the game. Speaking of that lawsuit, Ashley Mazzaro's lawyer has had some things to say about that, WWE and Vince McMahon. There's updates on the arrests of Cash Wheeler and Liv Morgan from last year. Julia will reportedly delay her move to WWE to help Rossi start a new promotion after he was fired from Stardom. And yes, this is also apparently true. Fox, Warner Brothers, and Disney are going to form like Voltron for a joint sports streaming service, but there's no word yet on how that might affect All Elite Wrestling. So to catch up on all of that massive news, please do go and check out WrestleTalk.com for the latest. And check out this episode of What's On at Cineworld Cinemas, hosted by myself and Dan Layton, where we talk about the new releases in February, including The Iron Claw.